In the first video, we had a quick introduction as to what Convolver is, as well as a brief look at the interface of the effect. In this video, we're going to have a quick look at some of the basic controls that are found at the top of the interface, and the first is the Dri Parameter. Using the Dri Parameter, we can control how much of the source, the dry signal, can be heard. I find this handy, turning it down when I want to hear just the reverb to get a better idea of how the effect alone sounds. The in separation control allows you to adjust the stereo width of the audio source. When set to the middle, no changes to the stereo width are applied. However, turning this parameter to the left will result in a wider stereo separation of the source if the input is stereo, and thus a wider sound and reverb. The wet parameter controls the amount of reverb that is heard from the effect. Lower values will produce less of the effect, while larger values create a more prominent effect. If you are using a Convolver on an aux send channel, then it would most likely want to set it to 100% and adjust the effect amount using the auxiliary send. On a regular insert track, set the wet and dry to achieve the mix appropriate for your ears. Like the input stereo separation control we just looked at, there is also a stereo separation for the output of the effect, which is labeled wet separation. With this parameter left in the middle, no change is made to the stereo field. Values towards the left will produce a wider effect, while values towards the right will create a narrow, mono-sounding reverb. The delay parameter will apply a delay to the start of the reverb. This parameter has an influence over the perceived size of the room. Large rooms have a longer delay between the dry sound and the first reverb reflections. The self-convolution parameter allows the impulse to be convoluted and then fed back into itself to create an even larger, more exaggerated, washy reverb effect. Use the stretch parameter to apply high-quality resampling to increase or decrease the length of the impulse response. Moving the parameter to the right will increase the impulse response length. Move the parameter to the left to shorten the length of the impulse. The EQ parameter will determine how much of the EQ is applied to the output. You can make changes to the EQ by clicking Equalizer from the Impulse editor. We'll be taking a closer look at the EQ editor in a later video. So in this video, we took a look at controlling the amount of the audio source in the mix with the Dri parameter and the amount of the affected audio with the wet parameter. We also looked at controlling the width of the stereo field with the input and wet separation parameters. In addition, we looked at applying delay to the reverb, changing the length of the impulse response and controlling the amount of EQ applied to the effect. In the next video, we'll begin our look at working with the Impulse editor.